there, I'm Patricia Sands. I'm a women's fiction author. I have been published both independently and traditionally. I write books mainly that are set in the south of France because that's where I've spent a lot of time and continue to spend a lot of time in my life. And my first book was published, my first novel, The Bridge Club, was published when I was 65, and my 13th novel will be published this November. And I love what I do in this chapter of my life.
That's great. So is that more than a novel a year at times?
Well, yeah. Well, let's see. It's been 15 years since The
geez.
Bridge Club was published. So, yeah.
You're knocking them off pretty good. That's great. What inspired you to become a writer? So you didn't write, you obviously wrote before that in terms of
Whatever. Yeah, I come from the letter writing stage.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to exist anymore.
And then you turned 65 and then you started to
I actually
tell your stories.
I started writing, say, when I was 62 or 63, and then the book was published when I was 65. And I just wrote that book for fun because I had some time on my hands. I was a teacher at one point in my life. And so I'm used to sort of writing and talking and that sort of thing. But The Bridge Club was just a story about the 8 women in my life who, we've all been friends since we were 18, 19, 20, and we still are friends. So it was a story about women's friendship over a span of 40 years.
So I bet you it started off being kind of semi-autobiographical, but then as you've gotten toward book 13, it must have morphed into you just kind of going off on tangents that you want to talk about.
Well, yes. I mean, I was sort of coerced into publishing The Bridge Club. And once I took that leap and became involved in the writing community, I realized that I really loved writing. And then I started hearing from readers asking what else I had written.
Yeah.
And they liked the fact that I write about more mature women.
Yeah.
And so since my husband and I were going to the south of France for a couple of months every year, being at that retirement age, or rewirement, I started writing books set in the south of France, and I really enjoyed that. And after the first one, readers wrote me and asked, well, so what happened to her? What came next? What's she doing? Who's she with? Did she stay in France? And so that one book morphed into 7 books. It's a trilogy, the Riviera and Provence trilogy, and then the Villa des Violettes series of 4 books. And those 4 books were really written because readers demanded it.
Awesome.
They wrote and said, we love your characters, we want to know what's happening. And for an author, that's such a gift to be able to, because I love my characters too, so to be able to continue writing about them was really fun.
That's excellent.
And since then I have written some other standalone books as well. Yes.
And we're going to see those at Collingwood. Okay. If you had any advice to give up-and-coming authors, what advice would you give them?
First of all, believe in yourself. Believe in your story. I always recommend to new authors Stephen King's book on writing, A Memoir of the Craft. After I published my first book, or while I was writing it actually, and I went to writing workshops and took courses, that book was always recommended. And even though he wrote that about 13 years ago, it's still very, very relevant. And the one thing that really affected me that I like to pass on is that he said, if you think so strongly that you have a story to tell, sit down and write that story. You don't have to have an MFA or, take courses in writing. Tell your story, find your voice, and then, and this is the critical point, work with a proper editor. Not your cousin, not your mother's best friend or your next door neighbor, but someone who is, a properly educated and certified editor. And that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I thank you very much for your time today.
I'm delighted to talk about writing anytime at all. Just ask me.